You know exactly what you need to do. You've known for months, maybe years. But every day you find a reason not to. And those reasons sound so reasonable, so logical, so justifiable. But they're not reasons. They're excuses. And deep down, you know the difference. The day you stop making excuses is the day your life actually changes. Let's talk about why that day hasn't come yet. Excuses feel good, not in an obvious way, but in a quiet, protective way. They shield you from discomfort, from failure, from the possibility of trying and not being enough. When you say, "I don't have time," you don't have to face the fact that you're afraid. When you say, "I'm not ready yet," you don't have to risk being wrong. When you say, "It's not the right moment," you don't have to confront the truth that there's never a perfect moment. Excuses protect your identity. They let you keep the story you've been telling yourself. The story where you're capable, you're smart, you're going to do it someday. Just not today. And that story feels safer than testing whether it's actually true. Here's what most people don't realize. Every excuse you make is a small betrayal of yourself. Not a dramatic one, not the kind you notice immediately, but over time, those betrayals add up. You stop trusting yourself because somewhere deep down, you know you're lying. You say you'll start tomorrow. You don't. You say you'll do it when things calm down. They never do. You say you're waiting for clarity, but clarity doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing. And every time you choose the excuse over the action, you reinforce the pattern. You train yourself to avoid, to hesitate, to justify inaction. Until one day you look around and realize years have passed and you're still in the same place, still telling yourself the same excuses, still believing that someday when everything aligns, you'll finally start. But that day never comes. Because excuses don't delay action. They replace it. They give you just enough relief to avoid the discomfort of change. Just enough justification to stay comfortable. And comfort is addictive. It feels like safety. But it's not. It's stagnation dressed up as patience. It's fear disguised as wisdom. And the cost isn't obvious at first, but eventually you feel it. The disappointment in yourself, the quiet shame of knowing you could be further along if you just stopped waiting. The weight of knowing that the only thing standing between you and the life you want is your willingness to stop lying to yourself. I know someone who spent 7 years talking about writing a book, not thinking about it, talking about it, to friends, to family, to anyone who would listen. He had the idea. He had the outline. He even had the first chapter written, but he never finished. Every time someone asked, "How's the book going?" he had a new excuse. "Work's been crazy. I need to do more research. I'm waiting until I have a solid month to really focus." And these weren't lies, they were true. Work was demanding. He could do more research. A month would be helpful. But they were still excuses. Because the real reason he didn't finish wasn't time. It was fear. Fear that if he actually finished it, it wouldn't be good enough. Fear that people would read it and realize he wasn't as insightful as they thought. Fear that he'd put everything into it and it would fail. So he kept it in draft mode. Safe, unfinished, protected from judgment. Then one day he ran into an old colleague, someone he hadn't seen in years. The colleague asked, "Did you ever finish that book you were working on?" And for the first time, he heard the question differently. Not as curiosity, as doubt. The colleague didn't believe he'd finish. And worse, he could hear that he didn't believe it either. That night something shifted. Not motivation, not inspiration, just honesty. He sat down and asked himself one question. Am I actually going to do this? Or am I going to keep pretending? And he realized he had two choices. Finish it and find out if it's good, or stop talking about it and accept that he's someone who doesn't finish things. Both were uncomfortable, but one was honest. So he made a decision. Not to write a perfect book. Not even to write a good one. Just to finish. He gave himself 90 days. No excuses, No waiting for the right time, just right. Some days were terrible. Some chapters were weak, but he kept going. 92 days later, he had a finished manuscript. Was it perfect? No. Did it get published immediately? No. But that didn't matter, because for the first time in 7 years, he'd proven to himself that he could do what he said he would. And that changed everything. Not because the book was great, but because he stopped being the person who made excuses and became the person who followed through. That shift from excuses to execution, that's where self-respect comes from. Let me explain this like an engineer. Excuses are a system failure, a feedback loop that reinforces itself. Here's how it works. You have a goal, something you want to achieve, but achieving it requires discomfort, risk, the possibility of failure. So your brain offers you an excuse, a logical-sounding reason to delay. You accept the excuse, you avoid the discomfort. Your brain registers this as success. It protected you from risk. So next time, it offers another excuse, and you take it again. Over time, the system optimizes for avoidance, not achievement. And the worst part? You don't even notice. Because each individual excuse seems reasonable, justifiable, smart even. But when you zoom out, you see the pattern. You're not making strategic decisions. You're running a program designed to keep you comfortable. And comfort is the enemy of growth. In engineering, we have a principle. A system will always move toward its most stable state unless energy is applied to change it. Your life works the same way. If your most stable state is avoidance, you'll keep avoiding, unless you apply energy to change the system. And that energy is accountability, not motivation, not inspiration, accountability. The willingness to look at your excuses and call them what they are, not reasons, not explanations, excuses. And once you stop accepting them, the system has to change. Because without excuses, you only have two options: act or admit you're choosing not to. And that honesty forces growth, not comfortable growth. Real growth. The kind that comes from doing the thing you've been avoiding and discovering you're more capable than you thought. There's a day when something changes. It's not dramatic, it's quiet. It's the day you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, do I feel like it? You stop waiting for the right conditions. You just decide, and then you act. Not because you're suddenly confident, but because you're done lying to yourself. That shift from excusing to executing, it's not motivational, it's mechanical. You remove the option to delay. You remove the justification for avoidance. And what's left is action. Small, uncomfortable, honest action. You don't feel ready, but you start anyway. You don't have all the answers, but you take the first step anyway. You don't know if it will work, but you try anyway, and something changes. Not externally, internally. You start rebuilding trust with yourself, because every time you do what you said you'd do, you prove to yourself that your word means something. And that self-respect, that quiet confidence that comes from following through, that's more valuable than any external achievement, because it changes how you see yourself. You stop being the person who talks about doing things. You become the person who does them. And that identity shift changes everything. Most people never stop making excuses because stopping requires facing two fears. The first fear, accountability. If you stop making excuses, you have to own your outcomes. You can't blame circumstances. You can't blame timing. You can't blame other people. You have to accept that where you are is largely a result of the choices you've made. And that's uncomfortable. It's easier to believe that external factors are holding you back. That if conditions were different, you'd succeed. But deep down, you know that's not entirely true. The second fear, discovering your actual limits. As long as you have excuses, you don't have to find out what you're truly capable of. You can keep the illusion that if you really tried, you'd be extraordinary. But what if you try and you're just average? What if you give it everything and it's still not enough? That possibility terrifies people. So they keep the excuses, because excuses preserve potential. As long as you haven't fully committed, you can still believe you could have been great. But here's the truth. Potential doesn't matter. Action does. And the only way to know what you're capable of is to stop making excuses and find out. You might fail. You might struggle. You might discover limits you didn't know you had. But you'll also discover strengths you didn't know existed. And more importantly, you'll stop living in the gap between who you are and who you could be. You'll just be who you are, fully, honestly, without the protection of excuses. And that version of you, the one who shows up without justification, without delay, that's the version worth becoming. I need you to hear this. The excuses you're making right now feel real. They feel justified, but they're not protecting you. They're limiting you. Every day you choose the excuse over the action, you're choosing comfort over growth. And comfort doesn't build the life you want. It protects the life you have. So ask yourself, is the life you have worth protecting? Or is it time to risk discomfort for the possibility of something better? You already know the answer. You've known for a long time. The question isn't whether you should stop making excuses. The question is, when? And the only honest answer is now. Not when you feel ready, not when conditions improve, not when fear goes away. Now, with the fear, with the uncertainty, with the discomfort, because that discomfort is the cost of change. And you've been avoiding that cost for too long. You don't need a perfect plan. You need one honest step. You don't need to feel confident. You need to act despite the doubt. You don't need permission. You need to give it to yourself. And the moment you do, the moment you stop negotiating and start executing, everything shifts. Not externally, internally. You become someone who keeps their word to themselves. Someone who doesn't need excuses because they take responsibility. Someone who doesn't wait for the right moment because they create it. That person already exists inside you. You just have to stop protecting the version of yourself that's afraid to try. Excuses don't disappear. They'll still show up every day. Your brain will still offer you logical-sounding reasons to delay, to avoid, to stay comfortable. But the difference is, you'll recognize them, and you'll choose differently, not because you're suddenly fearless, but because you've decided that action is more important than comfort, that progress is more important than protection, that who you're becoming matters more than who you've been. And over time, that choice becomes automatic. You stop asking if you feel like it. You just do it. You stop waiting for the right time. You start now. You stop making excuses. You make progress. And progress, even slow progress, compounds. One honest action leads to another. One kept promise builds trust. One day without excuses proves it's possible. Until you look back and realize you've become someone different. Not perfect, not fearless, not without struggles, but someone who doesn't need excuses anymore. Because you've learned that the discomfort of action is temporary, but the regret of inaction is permanent. So choose the discomfort, choose the honesty, choose to stop making excuses and start making progress. Not someday, today. This is Unstoppable Mind.